books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest, visionary thought partner and steward of the Institute of SFLI, thought partner, consultant, and speaker who guides high level leaders, founders, and visionaries, no other than Mr. Markus Neukom. Welcome to Book 101, Mr. Marcus. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
Thank you so much, Daniel, for having me. Um,
And,
so, I'm the steward of the Institute for Catalyst for Legacy and Influence. And what this really means is, what we talked about first was about the return to the original design. So, basically, what I'm doing is I'm meeting people on a daily basis, either one on one or in groups, and I help them to remember who they really are. So this is really who I am. It's not what I do, it's who I am. I'm residing in Massachusetts with my beautiful wife, Holly, and I'm just enjoying life and being alive. So, once again, thank you for having me, Daniel.
welcome, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And Mr. Marcus, what does returning to original design mean to you as a leader, and why is it important?
So, put it this way, why even return to? So, today we're going to talk about the book Think and Grow Rich from Napoleon Hill, which was really the trigger for what became these stillness councils I am stewarding and I'm leading. What it basically means is the world has put so much bullshit. I think I'm allowed to say it, or I can use BS. So
Yeah.
much BS on our existence. Like when we were born, we basically forgot who we were. Um, our society started telling us who we are. School system starts putting label on us. Parents start putting label on us. Friends start putting label on us. And as you know, Daniel, when you go into workforce, it's almost done with who you are. It's actually who the world wants you to be. So, as you can imagine, the return to your original design means to remember who I was before the world actually told me who I have to be.
Can you share a moment in your leadership journey when you realized you had drifted from your authentic self?
Well, there are probably quite a few. Um, I must put it this way, I was fortunate to never really forgot who I was, which is probably quite rare. Normally, when people are born, they forget immediately who they once were. But somehow I was able to keep that. And this is something my parents told me, that they always felt I have a kind of a knowing about who I am. So, put it this way, when I grew up, I had my knowing and I had my beliefs. And then I had society trying to tell me who I really was. And as you can imagine, Daniel, that didn't go down so well because there was a clash between how society wanted me to see myself and how I knew deep inside who I really was. Does that make sense?
Makes sense, Mr. Marcus. And how do you define your original design, and what experience shape that understanding?
So, when I look at my journey, and my journey was, I'm 53 years old today. So, when I look back, we came to the US in October last year under circumstances which were not the most ideal. And I went on a journey in terms of realizing so much I had believed about myself is really BS. It's helping the system, helping society to mold me into a form that works really well, which made many, many people very rich. So I probably made quite a few millionaires in terms of working with them and for them. But then when I realized, what is it about the original design? The original design came into happening when I realized it's when I become still. And still, Daniel, is something many people talk about in meditation. But stillness in meditation is often something I seek from the outside. I hope that when I close my eyes, when I breathe, that stillness comes into me or over me. But my stillness is coherence between my thoughts, my heart, and what happens then is my soul finally was able to speak. So basically, the original design is already put into every person, and that's residing in the soul. But as long as thought is so dominant, people call it mind, as long as thought is so dominant, the heart has almost no say. The soul probably never really gets to speak. So you maybe know the sentence, most people die before the music even started to play. And I believe it's very much synonymous to the soul. Most people die before their soul, before their core personality, before their core calling was even able to express itself. Does that answer your question?
Definitely. And Mr. Marcus, what challenges have you faced in staying true to your core values while leading others?
One of them was being confronted with the rules of society or the rules of economy of my workplaces. And as you can imagine, at a very young age, I was in jobs where what I was doing had a profound impact and an effect on the people I worked with, meaning my clients. And I remember that one day, Daniel, when I walked into my office and my boss at that time actually told me, do not speak about psychology. It's about numbers, data, facts. That's it. Do not talk about psychology because we are no psychologists. We help people to get back into a job. So they lost the job, as you can imagine. And I realized, gosh, the looking for a job is only a symptom. The problem they really have to face is, how do I deal with, for example, having made redundant, or in some cases, at most being fired from a job? So my boss thought, it's all data. I just help the people to get back into a job. And I knew, if we don't focus on the deeper levels first, which was my original design, so I always focused on the human being first, that person might be invited to an interview, but they will fail. Because, if somebody is kind of disturbed emotionally, this is something you sense whether you are a psychologist or not, Daniel. If you meet someone who is sad, you sense that. If you meet someone who had just experienced something really tragic, like a job loss, you sense that, even without knowing why. But something in you says, this person is going through something that's not good for us because we need stability. And that was probably the biggest thing, the clash between expectation from outside and what I knew was the right thing to do. And fortunately, it always worked out really well. So I learned to become a great diplomat, let's put it this way.
How do you recognize when you are out of alignment with who you really are as a leader?
So when you're out of alignment, um, it's usually stress. When I speak with leaders, it is quite interesting. They are restless, their mind races, their eyes go back and forth because it's almost like they're trying to fix something. They're trying to find a north pole in their minds. It's usually, put it this way, it almost feels like they are in a hamster wheel. They're always, even if they are quiet, even if they are silent, you can tell their minds are still racing. Have you ever experienced that with people?
Yes, Mr. Marcus. Definitely. And Mr. Marcus, what practices or habits help you reconnect with your authentic self in high pressure leadership roles?
The best thing is literally doing what is so counterintuitive to today's world. It's actually just sitting down, just closing my hands, just closing my eyes, and just be. And I can tell you, this sounds so simple. And for everyone who watches or listens to us, just try it for a couple of minutes. I remember when I started meditating, and meditating is quite a different system than stillness. But when I started meditating, 5 minutes were like eternity. So I realized when I actually decide to slow down the pace, when I stop doing, when I stop desiring, when I stop wanting, when I just decide, you know what, let's just be for a moment. And why it's so hard is because, our mind always wants to do something. Our mind wants to achieve something because our mind believes we are only valuable and only worthy if we actually produce something, whether it be thought, whether it be a deed, whether it be an achievement, whether it be whatever it is. But it always has to do something in order to be valuable. And I personally believe, Daniel, what it really comes down to is stillness. And stillness means, I repeat myself, thought and heart is in coherence. So they beat together. That opens place for the soul to speak. And as you can imagine, the soul speaks all the time, but we don't hear it because we are way too loud. It is way too loud around us, way too loud inside because of our thinking. But when we decide, you know what, here is my desire, I want to hear my soul. And I highly recommend everyone to do it at least once a day, to close your eyes, close your hands, and have the conscious desire, I want to hear my soul speak to me. And almost immediately, Daniel, the thoughts become quiet and everything just calms down. And this is what I've been doing. Like I had hours of just being by myself. I think it's such an important practice just to be by yourself and be still.
Yes, people, stillness is the key in everything. And Mr. Marcus, how would you relate stillness to the book Think and Grow Rich?
This is a fantastic question. When I first came across the book Think and Grow Rich, I probably was in my 20s. The book is very old and quite older than I am.
Yes.
So when I first read the book, I didn't really understand what it was all about. But then I met people who actually studied Think and Grow Rich. And then I met people online, which probably you have as well, who say, my net worth, cash, right, is
Mm.
due to studying and applying the book Think and Grow Rich. So that made me curious. So I bought the book again and I started reading it. And I suddenly realized, gosh, what Think and Grow Rich actually talks about is so much aligned with what I personally know to be true. So it wasn't something I was reading that said, wow, this is like a totally new concept. Like all the 13 principles were almost innately for me. And then I met three gentlemen in the end who I decided to do a mastermind with. So we met on a weekly basis and we went through chapter by chapter, discussed the chapter. And it was interesting, Daniel, when we did that, I suddenly realized people are making it almost a law. So I realized, gosh, these three guys are actually in a rat race. They are in a hamster wheel. So each principle, instead of making it something become very natural, it becomes law. Like in terms of, let's say, persistence or power of the mastermind or organized planning, instead of just let it flow and unfold and let it happen, it became something rigid. They had plans, they had strategies, they have tactics, and nothing against these things. But I believe the original foundation of all these 13 principles should be a natural flow. So what I realized is, now I want to understand, is it only these three gentlemen, my three friends, or is it actually something that is quite prominent in the world itself? And as you can imagine, I was quite surprised when I realized that this hamster wheel is actually something that is very much established in society and in business. So that literally formed the keystone for me to actually think, why is it that I read the book this way and apply it in a certain way, and why so many millions of people probably read the book, but there is so little results and so little outputs. So I wanted to find out what is the difference. And then I realized it's the hamster wheel versus stillness. And that was basically the birth hour of my work in stillness.
Mr. Marcus, as a thought partner, consultant, and speaker, what are your short term and long term goals?
I would say the short term and the midterm, the long term goals are exactly the same. I have decided that my life's mission is to build these stillness councils, as I call them. And stillness councils basically means providing a space where people can meet with me. And this is what my clients tell me before they even consider calling me. They already calm down. When they talk with me on a call or when they meet in person with me, their minds start settling down. So basically, what I want to do is I want to provide containers, I want to provide vessels where leaders have, maybe for the first time in their lives, Daniel, the chance to sit down, to get their thoughts and hearts in coherence. So, for the first time, their soul actually has a chance to express itself. So, as you can imagine, they're very little human beings, by the way. There are a lot of human doings. There are a lot of human achievings. There are a lot of human havings. But the key goal, I believe the purpose of every single person alive today is to become a human being. And if you compare human having, human doing, human achieving, and human being on this side, you can tell there's a totally different frequency in being than on the doing side. Can you sense the difference when we talk about human beings? They just are. And then we have the human havings, human achievings, and human whatever else, always in the hamster wheel, always running, 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 running. So, my goal in life is to provide this container where people can come. This can be in person, this can be ad hoc. It's not organized at all. But when people meet with me, that's when they come into this coherence. And the mid to long term goal is to equip a lot of people so when they go home, they can do the exact same thing as they experience with me. Suddenly, people tell them, Daniel, when I meet you, something happens in me. When I meet you, my mind starts suddenly becoming calm. Like when I just met you before we entered this restaurant, I just came from this problem client and I thought, gosh, like how can I focus on Daniel and our conversation? And when I shook your hand, Daniel, everything just became quiet. And suddenly I was in stillness. I forgot all the people around us, and it was just you and me. So you see, what starts with me in the Stillness Council will have huge ripple effects over time. It actually already has. Because people who work with me, people who meet me, they go home into their environments. And guess what? It has ripple effects on their families, on their businesses, on their friends, on whatever they do in their leisure time. So, in the end, my life is a life of service.
Good luck to your goals, Mr. Marcus, and looking
Thank you.
forward for more success. And what would be your piece of advice for those people out there want to be visionary, want to be, you know, like you?
So, there are two things which I recommend. The first one is literally take at least one moment in your day where you just sit down, where you just close your hands. This somehow makes you calm already. Where you close your eyes and you just invite your soul and say, Soul, I want you to speak to me. I want to listen what you have to say. And then basically just stay there for as long as it's comfortable for you. For some, it's a moment, like blink of an eye. And for some, it might be even half an hour. It might be even an hour because you suddenly become still and you suddenly become, receptive for the soul's voice. And the second one is if you want to learn more about it, or if you want to become a member of this Stillness Council I mentioned, reach out to me on LinkedIn. It's Marcus, Markus, Newcomb, Neukom, and send me a connection request or a message. I would love to get to know you and share more about it if you are interested.
Yes, indeed. And thank you for that advice, Mr. Marcus. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well, geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast Law 101 and Mental Health 101, Love Letters in the third season, and Movie 101 Review and Music 101 in its fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcasts. Mr. Marquez, looking forward, how do you plan to continue aligning your leadership with your original design as the challenges evolve?
Oh, it's quite easy. It's deciding to be in stillness as often as possible because, stillness is not non action, it's not inactive. As I said, it's literally coherence between my thinking and my heart, and that's when my soul speaks. So I realized that when I'm still, that's actually when everything else starts to happen because it's not by me, it happens through me. So doing less is achieving more for me. And this is how I continue to live my life.
Mr. Marcus Neukom, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy or any projects that you're doing right now?
So I'd love to repeat myself. The easiest thing is literally to connect with me on LinkedIn. Just look me up. I'm the only Marcus Newcomb there. You'll see my face immediately. And I welcome you to connect with me on LinkedIn and send me a message. And I'd love to get on a call with you and see where you're at and what I can do for you. It's been a huge
Yes.
pleasure being on your show, Daniel. You're doing a great job.
You're welcome, Mr. Marcus. Yes, people, let's support Mr. Marcus Nickum. Let's connect with him and let's empower people all over the world through his advocacy. So, Mr. Marcus, thank you so much for your time.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
More to come, people. See you soon.